Welcome to the webinar, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. My name is Wendy Fox. Just a little bit about Casperio. We're recognized in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for public cloud IT transformation services, which puts us in the top 20 of MSPs worldwide. We're also part of Globe Telecom, which gives us access to over 9,000 employees globally, and an AWS Premier Tier Services Partner, which is the highest designation achievable. Casperio really takes a cloud-native approach and wants to be your transformation partner in your journey to the cloud. We do this through a combination of professional services, managed services, and the AI ML platform Casperio.io, which we'll look at in a little bit more detail later on in the webinar. Our presenters today are Thomas Burns, who's one of our SVPs, and Garrett Basserman, who is our Director of Product. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to you, Thomas.
Well, good morning. Good morning to all our participants. Thank you, Wendy. Good morning, Garrett. I wanted to talk a little bit about just sort of the general framework of Cascadio's IT services. In the sort of the beginning of that cycle, we like to engage our customers to really understand what their business outcomes, what their technical requirements are, try to match those two objectives up. So that we can advise on the right types of solution for the right type of deployment at the right time, based on the resources within that company and obviously budgets. If we can understand what that framework looks like within their organization, we think we can provide a better solution. And that leads us sort of to the build mechanisms. We are, as Wendy mentioned, a cloud native organization. We were born in the cloud. We do not provide managed services in data centers or co-location services. We are cloud specific. And for the purpose of this discussion, we're really focused in on AWS. That is where our original partnership has been for the company. So we have been a managed service partner as well as a premier consulting partner with AWS for over 10 years. One of the very first certified and audited MSPs with AWS. So we really have a depth of experience around building solutions in the cloud, whether that is moving from that data center into the cloud or building more modern applications using more modern techniques that the cloud platforms promote. The other component that we really like to talk about is automation. That may be around actual CI/CD pipeline automation. That may be automation around operations. That may be automation around fixing issues when they arise. But we want to help organizations really reduce overhead, reduce time spent with infrastructure so they can focus on proprietary value of what that technology is supposed to produce for their company and for their clients. On the management side, we are really focused again with that automation piece, providing the type of monitoring that reduces noise and increases resolution times, and as well as removes all of that repeatable process from our customers' overhead so that they can, again, focus on that proprietary value of their organization. A little bit more about Cascadio is that we have two headquarters. One in Seattle, Washington, and one in Manila, Philippines. The benefit of, and our organization has been set up that way since day one. We utilize our Philippine headquarters primarily is our professional 24/7, 365 staff support. We have our primary network operations center, and the majority of our tier 1 to 3 technical staff are in the Philippines. This really gives us the benefit of very similar to a global outsourcing or offshore model, but they are direct staff to Cascadio. So you can obviously see that there's a lot of benefits to that, cost efficiencies, 24/7 support globally, watching that infrastructure at all times to make sure it's up and running. Our US benefits, it's where the majority of our customers, we have customers across Asia Pacific, but the majority of our customers are North American based, US based, Canada based. And this is where our agile project managers, our DevOps support team, much of our executive staff, professional services staff as well, sit in North America, all across the US. The time zones intersect really well between the Philippines, US, and Europe. So usually it's morning in the Philippines when it's in the evening in the United States, and then vice versa with Europe. And so we really look to provide sort of the best of breed project management, tier 3 professional services teams out of the US, and then our 24/7 staff, tier 1 through 3 NOC staff in the Philippines, and really integrate that globally to help really solve problems for our customers 24/7. Next slide, please. So, the question that we obviously get asked very often is, why not just go direct with AWS instead of using even the term middleman has been thrown out there, but utilizing AWS Reseller. We do not intend on building sort of this middleman or distributor model where we resell just so that we can gain a couple of percentage points. We are not a distributor. We are a managed services, professional services, IT services company. Because of that, that is sort of the number one aspect around that customer experience, is we specialize in supporting IT services. We have customers around the world. We have from every industry, from technology to insurance to healthcare, media, transportation, pretty much every industry and every size customer. And we learn how they want to be responded to, how they want issues resolved, how to solve problems before they actually begin. We are through and through a service company. That's who we hire for. That's how we train for. And essentially that is who we are as a service company. So generally speaking, we're going to provide a much higher AWS customer support model than AWS itself. And we do a part of that service is leveraging our discounts. We are provided a reasonable discount from AWS to resell their services, and we can pass that discount on to our customers. Better access to support. Again, as we mentioned, we have a global support team around the world that is available 24/7. We provide a 15-minute response time SLA. So we can actually engage faster, again, because we are a service company. AWS is an infrastructure company, and they build some of the most advanced infrastructure in the world, leading edge. They were one of the first producers of this types of technology in the world, and they've changed the world. But we can actually provide better service because our focus is on service, not on actually building out the technology. Project funding. So one of the things that, some of the programs that we are involved in with AWS, one would be that we are a premier partner. And the other one is that we have a strategic collaboration agreement with AWS. This means that we have been chosen and invested in by AWS to help promote the movement of workloads into AWS. We have funding programs for migrations. We have funding programs for new applications. We have funding programs for greenfield deployments, new customers. So we can actually go to AWS and say, hey, we have a customer. They have X amount of infrastructure. They're deploying for a new workload. They are a new customer as well, and they will provide us some amount of funding to help promote and make it easy from a cost perspective to enter into their platform. Moving on to the MSP value add. So as an MSP and as a audited AWS service provider, we understand the platform very well. If there is a need within your organization to remove some of the repeatable process, whether that's IT operations management, monitoring, issue resolution, operational tasks like disaster recovery testing or disaster recovery setup, as well as even professional service components where we actually can help architect solutions for your company. If you need that, you understand that we have a direct connection to AWS. We can help deploy it. We can help set it up. We can help manage it. And I think that gives a lot of our AWS reseller customers just a distinct advantage to have someone that's so connected to the platform throughout their business and their history. Thank you. So additional benefits, and I'll try to work through this in a reasonable amount of time. First of all, AWS landing zone. A landing zone is it helps customers more quickly set up a secure multi-account AWS environment based on AWS best practices. We will help your organization set that up so that you know the proper way of building out your AWS accounts. We will support identity and access management, IAM. These policies enable administrators to control who has access to the assets within your AWS accounts. We can use authentication and authorization policies so that the people who are supposed to have access to the environment have that access. And if you do not, then you do not get access to those environments. We'll provide a policy review to make sure they align with best practices. And if we find things that you shouldn't be doing, we'll make recommendations for change there. Administration, setup, and training that just allows our clients to have an expert resource to help support the setup of additional account setup activities. Things like root access and making sure that that's set up properly and passwords are protected. Cost control. This is a perpetual effort for all organizations that are deploying in the cloud. We want to support those cost efforts as much as possible. If you're not running an efficient cloud deployment, it's going to cost you additional money, and we want to help you avoid that. We help by setting up Cost Explorer, as well as the monthly cost reports. And we can do cost optimization reports as well through the Cost Explorer interface. Tagging analysis. Tagging assets in AWS have many benefits. Tracking cost, obviously, is one. Associating system dependencies. Allocating business unit ownership. So, if you have an instance that is, spending 10 times what everybody else is, you can say, hey, this is a set associated to the finance team or to the development team. And you can, from an administrator or a cost owner perspective, can jump in there and say, hey, what is going on here? So part of that tagging analysis helps organize the assets that you've deployed, attach ownership, or attach functional or dependency as well. Let's see. System utilization, analysis, and recommendations. This is a great effort to see if you have actually right-sized your infrastructure. In many cases, what we see very often is that our clients will deploy infrastructure that is much larger than they actually need. Obviously, there's a cost associated to that. So the concerns are that, well, if we get for some reason are utilizing CPU or RAM too heavily, then we'll be down. The fact of the matter is we can build different strategies to monitor assets to make sure that they're not moving past an 80% utilization, so that we can maintain cost, and we can show reports and data that it is a very rare that that system moves above 50% or 60%, so that we can keep our cost associated to the performance that we need at all times. So security and event and issue management, some refer to as security information and event management. These are systems that capture log data about interactions with your system, whether that's a user going in, logging into the back end, or activity through a website. We can help you set up, in many cases in AWS, people use systems like Sophos or Splunk to deploy tracking of logs within their environment. We can make sure that those logs are set up appropriately and are tracking the data appropriately. Oh, and the 1 hour monthly consult. So again, we have a considerable amount of experience around AWS. We have over 100 certifications. We're a audited managed service provider, AWS managed service provider, as well as premier partner. We have a lot of expertise in-house on a wide range of cloud functionality. We will provide a 1 hour consult with whatever might be a cloud architect, an engineer, someone who specializes in data, whatever it might be. We will provide an hour engagement per month so that our clients can ask questions, understand better techniques and methodologies, and engage essentially an expert to help solve some of those bigger problems. Finally, discounted professional services and managed service options. If our client is utilizing our reseller service, we will provide a discount on all of our professional services, managed services programs as well. And then the sort of final additional benefit that we have is something that Garrett Baskerman is going to talk more about, and that's the cloud management platform, Casperio IO, that we deploy as part of our AWS cloud services. So with that, I'll pass it over to Garrett.
Thanks, Thomas. Just real quick before we move on to Garrett's presentation, could you talk briefly about concerns about vendor lock-in? So, for example, one of the questions that came through: if I choose to use Casperio as my reseller, what happens if I want an AWS reseller? What happens if I want to change MSPs? Does that create a risk?
Our customers have full control over their accounts. We talk about root access. Root access is the customers. They own the account. They're simply linking the account to Casperio to allow us some level of interaction. They control that account and they can break that link essentially at any time. So there is no vendor lock-in. We won't hold customers ransom for their infrastructure or for their systems being up. We have no power to do so. The client simply submits a request to Amazon to turn that link off, and it's done.
Wonderful, thanks. Okay, and from there, I'm going to turn it over to Garrett, who's going to speak about Casperio.io, which is Casperio's cloud management platform.
Great, thanks, Wendy. Hello, and good morning, everybody. I'm Garrett Bosserman. I'm the product owner for Casperio.io, which is our proprietary AI ML powered cloud management platform. Thanks for taking the time to learn, how you as a customer could benefit from the technology we've developed. All right, we're taking a quick look here at a screenshot of a Casperio.io page. This illustrates a pipeline, and it best illustrates in a short amount of time exactly what we're trying to accomplish with Casperio.io. So over on the left side of the screen, you'll see that what we call the input integrations. In this case, we have AWS environments. We can what we do for data collection there is install a hardened instance in your environment to scrape metric data from your environment, pipe that back to our SaaS platform, where we evaluate that against both static and dynamically ML-enabled thresholds. If we determine that there is a problem or a potential problem, predictive analytics, we will then alert to any number of output integrations, which you see on the right-hand side, which will then send an alert with recommendation and incident information for whoever it is that receives that to begin to act upon. So typical output integrations in this case would be to the Casperio NOC. So those customers that are engaging our managed services team directly, their alerts will go directly to the NOC, and we have people sitting there 24/7 monitoring these alerts, and we'll begin to react on those immediately. We can also pipe these alerts to, for instance, if you want to receive these alerts via email, we can send them via Slack. And we have other integrations. Perhaps if you have another ticketing tool that you would like us to send those to, we can do that as well. So I think that's sort of the overview of how the platform works. Just to summarize, we collect data from the AWS environment, we pipe it through and evaluate that into our within our SaaS platform, and then we send alerts or notifications to the different areas where they can be evaluated and then acted upon, and any issues can then be remediated. A couple other interesting integrations. Maybe Wendy, maybe go to the next page. So a couple other integrations, maybe you can see this in a little bit more detail. We've also got an integration with AWS DevOps Guru, which is their advanced AIM and ML monitoring solution as well. We both Cascadio IO and DevOps Guru look at data within the AWS environment. They have different ML models, they have different training sets, and so both we and AWS DevOps Guru are taking very detailed look at your environment. Sometimes there's overlap, and sometimes we catch things they don't, they catch things we don't. So we like to position that as they're better together. But what you can see there is, and this is where some value comes in for using Cascadio IO versus just DevOps Guru, is that what we can do is consolidate those the alerts that are found into a single alert stream, and you can send them to the same exact Slack channel, the same exact email addresses as illustrated here. And the value is, and this is one of our primary sort of paradigms for the platform that we've developed, which is we're not big dashboard fans. We don't think people should be sitting around looking at dashboards all day waiting for something to happen. Instead, we like to make sure that the customer is notified, the customer and our managed services team are notified in the tools that they are working in every day, all day, and not having to sit and look at a dashboard. I think that's really about it in terms of just a quick overview. This Cascadio IO is available to any customer that, any resale customer. It's very easily deployed, matter of minutes, and then we're up and running, understanding what your environment consists of and what needs to be looked at, and then over time, both the DevOps Guru and the AWS AI and ML monitoring, right, starts to learn your system, and then you get much more, I guess, important alerts being sent to you without duplication. So
thank you.
I think that's it.
That's great.
Yep.
That takes us to the end of our presentation. We just had one other question that came through, which I think this is more for Thomas, which is this something that is available for existing AWS clients who are currently going direct, as opposed to people who are getting started?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter. If a client already has a direct relationship with AWS and they want to switch over to utilizing Cascadio as their provider of AWS cloud services, that is not a problem. It's a simple administrative process that will, again, link their account to ours, and then we have the ability to provide additional discounting for that customer as well.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thanks everyone for your time. Quick presentation today. Let us know if you have any additional questions, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks everyone. Appreciate your participation.